welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McCanna.
Hey, Chad, it's a new year.
That's right. That means a new arbitrary season.
Woo! I don't know. I needed that 9-day vacation. That's whew. I feel rested and recharged.
Wait, 9 days. How'd that happen?
New Year's.
Oh, wait, did we put this episode out off of schedule, or the last one, rather?
It was off schedule because we had to hit New Year's.
Oh,
it was our
yeah.
New Year's Eve finale, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really only, considering every week is effectively a 6-day vacation, I really only think we should call this like a 2 or 3 day vacation.
Okay, fair enough. But man,
Come on, let's make the listeners think we're doing a lot more work than we actually are.
Well, what did you do over the hiatus, Chad?
I had a head cold.
Really?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Wow. Well, I suffered from chronic fatigue, but as we all know, that's easily curable after 3 days.
Yes.
So 3 days and 5 hours of sleep a night, I feel right as rain.
And lots of cocaine.
Well, I can't afford cocaine.
Hey, we're in the fast-paced podcasting industry here. The cocaine thing goes without saying.
Yeah, no, I've got that Folgers lawsuit from the Christmas special, so yeah.
Bummer.
So different kind of problem with a different kind of crystal. So yeah, anyway. So yeah, Chad,
you do know Folgers makes other products besides instant coffee, right?
Yeah, but it's funnier to harp on that aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny to just portray it as being something terrible. Rather than, of course, I'm the one who's drinking coffee from my Keurig machine, so what do I know about quality, right?
Yeah, I think those are instant crystal. They would almost have to be. There's no way that Keurig things are not instant coffee.
Yeah, well, it tastes fine. Better than Folgers.
Newspapers. Okay. So what are we doing?
What are we doing?
New Year. We're talking into microphones for the benefit of the listener.
We are, and you're back in the saddle.
Yes.
I'm right there beside you.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we...
It's an extremely fat horse.
That's right. What would be like a conjoined horse side by side?
Yeah.
What would that be? Like, what would we call that kind of horse?
Well, in Dr. Dolittle, it was called a push me pull you. Although that was like the cat dog of horses. It wasn't like a double wide horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them has to shit out its mouth, or maybe they take turns. I don't know. Look. Interconjoined horse creature politics is not my forte, and I'll be the first to admit that.
No, of course not. You're not a Matthew Broderick.
Did you turn Matthew Broderick's last name into 5 syllables?
Well, I conjoined it, you see. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to go for the Sarah Jessica Parker joke, because he's married to a horse.
Yeah. No, I was expecting an Eddie Murphy because he played Dr. Dolittle. But yeah, then you zagged where I should have expected a zig, but okay.
Right. So, well, since we're already stagnating with last year's jokes or last decade's jokes, why don't we just jump right in and do the due diligence? And
certainly,
it's been a couple weeks since we've taken any calls. We better actually dust those off. And
apologies, by the way, for my respiratory issues. I'm probably coughing to the side here.
That's okay. I mean, you're going to eventually get diagnosed with lung cancer, and that's going to lead to 5 quality seasons of you trying to provide for Janelle after you're gone, and probably turning to a life of crime with one of your former proteges. Like maybe Mark could be your Jesse, Mark Mazza.
Jesse? Oh, so I was like, why is he making a Malcolm in the Middle reference here? I don't understand.
All right, so if you want to join in on this fantastic show, you can call the Kongversation by calling the DK Vine hotline at 1-281-410-KONG, a.k.a. 5664.
Yes.
Now, Chad, I believe there's a jingle that goes along with that.
Yeah, there is, actually. If you want to call the Kongversation, it's 1-281-410 and a word.
Beautiful.
That word is Kong.
Oh, Spoilers, please. I hadn't gotten that far.
Pardon me.
Yeah. So we also have the DK Vine forum. It's something you can join. It's at dkvine.com/forum.
Is this the Jeopardy edition of of the due diligence? It's something you can join. It's not conjoined. Something you can join.
This popular actress from the HBO series Sex and the City resembles a horse.
The chick who played Carrie. Sarah Jessica Parker.
You didn't say it in the form of a question.
God damn it!
Yeah.
Watson is running circles around me.
So anyway, there's never been a better time to join the forum, Chad. And I know we say that and it loses all meaning, but much like Conan O'Brien starts every show by saying,
"Stay tuned for Conan." Oh wait, no, that wouldn't make any sense.
That wouldn't make any sense. Yeah.
Why would he? Well, he could start the show that way, and you stay tuned immediately for me.
Every few seconds, he just reiterates, "Keep staying tuned. Right. I'm Conan."
In a horrendous Jay Leno impression for some reason.
Right. I guess he doesn't do that Jay Leno impression anymore. That was like a staple bit of his for many years, but I guess it would just be too hurtful now.
Yeah. But no, what does Conan do at the top of every show?
No, he says, we've got a great show for you tonight. I know every other show is crap. We always lie about it, but tonight we mean it.
Yeah,
he
says,
right. Yeah. So anyway,
and then he does a string dance and goes.
Yeah, he ducks below the camera and he pops up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so
and then he says, "This is terrible."
Yeah. Why did Middle America never take a shining to Conan?
Yeah. It's sad that he was once the anti-late night talk show, and now there are so many anti-late night talk shows that he's part of the establishment.
Yeah, I know. He's in the ghetto of TBS too, so I just feel bad. It's like I know Jimmy Fallon. He's not somebody you can dislike.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, damn it, you're on Conan's territory. Just leave. I mean,
what do you mean? What do you mean on Conan's territory?
He's the Tonight Show. I mean,
okay. Well, I'm just thinking. See, I don't even really associate Conan with the Tonight Show. To me, Seth Meyers is in Conan's territory.
Yeah. Anyway.
This is boring.
This is boring. Why are we already talking about late night talk shows?
It's a new year, Hyle.
It's a new year, and we're spinning the same tired wheels.
Does not necessarily mean new random tangents.
we're just obsessed with late night talk shows from the late 90s.
Folks, when the recording is not going on, this is really what our conversations amount to.
We don't even really like these shows we talk about. Like,
I haven't seen Conan in years.
No, I have never watched Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, but I still rant about it. So anyway, Chad is dying, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. He's actually doing this episode from an iron lung.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah,
that would have been a horrible start to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What?
I am Iron Lung.
Oh yeah. Although, they would have gotten diversity points,
Right. Yes, the oft overlooked inside an Iron Lung demographic.
It is my favorite Black Sabbath song.
Mm-hmm.
I am Iron.
Nice.
Anyway, so there's actually some really good topics on the forum right now, and I wanted to break tradition by actually giving a shout out to some of them because I feel like if we give a shout out to the really quality topics, maybe that will inspire people to make more of them.
Yeah, and the perpetual, perennial tagline of "There's never been a better time to join." We laugh about that, but we were discussing this yesterday or the day before that actually the horrible drama that has plagued the forum in the last half of 2014, knock on wood, man, but it seems to have died down a bit.
A little bit, I think. Emotions get raw around Smash Brothers time.
Yeah.
It's like family Thanksgiving or Christmas where you have to get
But it
all
lasts all year.
all your racist relatives coming to town, and it just
Yeah.
although I guess you don't have to worry about your relatives popping up later in the year as DLC. So
Right.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, some good topics on the forum right now. Really quick, 31 years of Stanley the Bugman, which was it was a topic started by Matt about Matt's amazing feature of the same name,
Which I think we discussed last week, right?
we did. And by the way, if you've not checked that out, you owe it to yourself to check it out.
Go to the features section at DK Vine. It's part of the navigation on the top of the page, and this will be one of the top ones, if not the top, depending on when you listen.
Right. It's fantastic. It's don't be fooled. It takes you to a site called Game Best, but look carefully because that's part of the joke.
Yes. Also, it is lame and unnecessary. Please do not repeat.
That's right. I don't understand. This is not in meme form.
Yeah. These are some of our favorite Reddit comments regarding this feature. Yeah, it was. Is this a meme that I haven't heard about?
We're not making this up, by the way.
No. This sounds like an offensive caricature of Reddit posters, but no, this is actually them.
Another favorite one of mine, and I forget it. So I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but it's something like, "You are aware that Mario is the mascot of Nintendo and not Stanley, right?"
Yeah, and that person they deleted their comment about 20 minutes later because they realized what a fucking idiot they looked like.
It's like the person who tweeted about Kanye giving this new artist called Paul McCartney exposure.
After the Kanye thing?
Yeah, well, after, because Paul and Kanye did a song together.
Yes.
And so somebody tweeted about how great it was that...
Oh, lots of people tweeted about it.
Yeah, but how great it was that, Kanye was giving this unknown artist named Paul McCartney.
No, that's what I mean. A lot of people tweeted, like, who's Paul McCartney? Oh, good on Kanye for giving someone a break,
Yeah, and then BuzzFeed, I think, ran it, or Huffington Post or something, one of those sites. And so people just pounced on these idiots. So anyway, so it's like, oh yeah, and then they were like, oh, I didn't mean that was a joke. I was just joking. Ha ha ha.
I'm a Twitter satirist.
Right.
It's a living.
Yeah. So anyway, so halfway into this Stanley the Bugman thread where people are just giving Matt props, which much deserved props. DK Vine forum member TTJ94, and I'm guessing that's Tip Top Junior 94.
Yes, a poster who had been around for a long time, made. I think, if I remember correctly, a string of inflammatory posts. I don't know if he was banned or left, but this was many years ago. Anyway, the guy came back, apologized for his past action, said, "I'm older, I'm wiser, I'd like to rejoin the community," and here he is. So welcome.
I still love Tip Top Junior.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, he's been knocking him out of the park recently. He scrounged up some info on Stanley, and actually, he found a real reference to him being called Stanley the Bugman.
Right.
Which is this is apparently a big debate in Mario fan circles. I wasn't aware of it until recently, but
I think when you say it's a big debate, it's the sort of thing where the editors of Mario Wiki have just decided to erase with extreme prejudice any reference to Stanley the Bugman.
Yes.
And that's where the debate has sprung from.
But by the way, it's the Bugman they have a problem with.
Yes.
Like they will agree that Stanley is canonical, the name Stanley.
Sure.
But the Bugman they just will not abide. So yeah, he found a reference. Nintendo Power published a special magazine in the early 90s. It was just a one-shot called Mario Mania, and in that one they talk about Donkey Kong 3, and he's called Stanley the Bugman, which may be where it originates from, or it may just be providing further evidence that it was part of his name at one time. But there you go. It's not just something made up by the internets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fuck you, Mario Wiki. Bear is not a thing.
Bear is yes, thank you, Bear. Yeah, they're gonna go with Bear, but not Stanley the Bugman. Also, he found out there's also some controversy because there's a Game and Watch game called Greenhouse, and the protagonist in it, you would assume would be Stanley, but the game came out almost a year before Donkey Kong 3, so the common wisdom was no, that can't be Stanley.
Yes,
but
so Stanley is part of the Greenhouse universe.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He found a commercial advertising Greenhouse and some other Game and Watch games, and they referred to him as Stanley. And this would have been predating Donkey Kong 3. So that means Stanley is actually not a Donkey Kong character,
right?
But he's actually a Greenhouse character.
Yeah. So anyway, the debate over this issue on the DK Vine forum has gone back and forth, more or less settled down, but both Hyle and myself have weighed in, and it's a pretty interesting conversation sprung out of Matt's feature, so it's worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll find this one in the general DKU discussion subforum.
That's right, because it is all encompassing, I guess. I don't know.
Well, because we post all site features and like new site news in that subforum, so
that's right.
It came out of that.
Because otherwise our plugs and self-promotion get buried by Gamergate threads, and
right.
We don't want that.
Yeah. What's Anita Sarkeesian up to today?
Right. If it's not praising the glory of Chad and Hyle, I don't really care.
No. In fact, I have a Chad and Hyle praise filter on my forum login.
Also by TTJ94, there's a topic called German DK64 site reveals some interesting information, and this is really cool, and this goes into some of the really bizarre, kind of fan-wanky biographies of the Kongs that were on the German Donkey Kong 64 site back in '99. And these are some pretty weird-ass tidbits, like it lists Diddy's favorite movie as Banana Jones 2, which is a really pained, really just stretched out pun, but referencing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah. It's funny because the word Indiana and banana are similar enough that the joke could make sense, but for some reason it sounds incredibly tortured.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think it's the Banana Jones 2. If it was Banana Jones and the blank of blank, maybe it would land better.
Yeah. Well, it could be a translation error. I
don't know. Could be. I don't know. Also, and this is really to again feed into our ego, Chad.
Yes.
It says Lanky is a stand-up comedian, which is something we wrote in our bio of him back in '99.
Wait, we did?
Yeah, we hypothesized he was a comedian because he wore the clown nose.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and he had like the overalls and played a trombone, and yeah.
Yeah, he was like just really hacky,
like all stand-up comics do.
Well, he was like we thought he was like this really hacky, like Gallagher Carrot Top type, where he's just like a terrible comedian, like somebody like Dave Coulier, who you loathe.
The only thing is when Lanky uses the Sledge-O-Matic, he dies.
You're thinking the Blast-O-Matic.
No, I'm talking about when he obliterates a watermelon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was thinking because K. Rool has the Blast-O-Matic.
No. It's because melons are their health.
Yeah, I know, but then K. Rool uses the Blast-O-Matic, and he gets pieces of Donkey Kong Island all over the front row of the audience. I guess Timper's Island, or the Northern Hemisphere, just gets splattered.
I like mine better, but it didn't read as well as yours.
Yeah, so you know what? We're just going to call this one a draw.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like that's a very diplomatic way to start the season. Yeah. Anyway, it says Lanky is a stand-up comedian from Utan Islands, which you see what they did. They took the end of orangutan and they just chopped it off, and they cropped it. And
Sir David Attenborough would be proud.
Utan Island, yes. Which it says he left Utan Island because they were too conservative.
What? Too conservative for his brand of trombone-based stand-up.
His firebrand liberalism
Yeah.
that he expresses through trombone playing and handstands.
I can't laugh, man. Oh man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Okay. What else? What else?
and also there's some other stuff. You'll have to go to the thread to see them all. But I would be just forced off the show out of shame if I did not mention that it says Tanky Kong,
Yeah.
Tiny Kong,
Yeah.
is a tax official.
Wait. Like someone, like the German equivalent to someone working for the IRS.
Yeah.
She's a child.
What?
What? There's no way. Now here's the question though,
Yeah.
which we probably shouldn't discuss here just to keep it moving, but you can go to the forum and discuss, is this canon? Like, how should we consider this?
I think what the side I've fallen on is parts of it can be considered soft headcanon, sure. I'm not going to be drawing Utan Island on my map of the rare island chain anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I don't really buy that Tiny Kong is a tax official. But you know what? I think Diddy's favorite movie might be Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
It would make sense. He's modeled himself after Short Round, everyone's favorite character from that movie.
He is my favorite character.
He's mine too, but there is a lot of hate on Short Round.
Yeah, Short Round's hilarious though.
He is hilarious. He speaks in broken English.
But he's a kid character who works. Like, it's not like all kid characters have to be fundamentally terrible. He works because he's not a stupid fucking kid.
You know, my favorite interaction between Indy and Short Round is when they're playing cards in the jungle.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's my favorite scene, but all the Willie Scott stumbling on wild animals is really fucking hacky. But I love that where he's like, I am very little, you cheat very big, and then Indy starts yelling at him in Chinese, and they go back and forth. It's like that. That scene tells you everything you need to know about their relationship, and it's pitch perfect.
Yeah, he had me at No Time for Love, Dr. Jones. And,
it was hold on to your potato.
For everything that Spielberg and Lucas went on about how Indiana Jones 4 is about family, I got more warm fuzzies from Indy and Short Round than I ever did from anything in that movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the only reason it's any more familial is because Mutt is literally his family, but Short Round feels more like a son figure.
Yeah, that whole scene near the end where he comes out of the black sleep of Kali and he says, "Indy, I love you," and they hug, and that chokes me up every time, man. I mean,
No. He says, "I love you," right before he shoves the torch into his chest, doesn't he?
And that wakes him up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He goes, "Indy, I love you. Wake up, Indy."
Yeah. If you haven't noticed, Chad and I are just unapologetic fans of Temple of Doom.
Absolutely.
It gets way too much shit. It's racist as hell, but
it is.
It gets way too much shit, and I don't know why.
And then the Christian God will fall.
It's become this accepted knowledge that it's a bad movie, and it's not. I think it's not true. I think people are become prejudiced towards it because they hear that conventional wisdom and they reassess it. But
yeah. It's I mean, I think it's it's not as template setting as Raiders, and it's certainly not the slapsticky Marx Brothers inspired Last Crusade, but to me it's the realization of what Indiana Jones should and could be.
Exactly. And even the racism kind of works because it feels like a movie from the 1930s.
Yeah, which was George Lucas's whole idea.
Yeah, so even the exaggerated Indian, cult, eating live eels or whatever, that's just feels like shit that would have been in a series.
These vegetarians really love their chilled monkey brains.
I know, right? So that's the kind of thing that would have been in a 1930s cereal made by a bunch of white crackers. And
right.
I love it. Anyway, so moving on, we're spending way too much time on this, but we're going on some tangents.
Yay!
There's also the besides Donkey Kong, what other fandom gets the shaft by Sexy UJ69 LOL, and so Sexy UJ is a longtime poster, and he actually don't believe the name. He's actually a high quality poster.
I think it's one of them ironical things.
I think so. Anyway, he's trying to answer the immortally angsty question of our fan base and whether or not there's another series that has a high quality mark but that still gets shit on by journalists and gamers. So it's an interesting discussion. It's not actually the oh, woe is us kind of thread you would expect. It's us taking a good, long, hard look at our series and other series and trying to hash it out.
Yeah.
So
go check it out.
That's in Donkey Kong discussion as well. There's Donkey Kong Jungle Beat and Donkey Kong's Identity Crisis by Yusuf, also the former Cat Stevens.
Yes.
Where he tries to answer if Nintendo was attempting to recast DK as an angsty anti-hero in the mid-aughts with Jungle Beat.
I've always known Donkey Kong to ride on the peace train, and Jungle Beat was a departure from that.
But, Chad, it is a wild world. And
that's true. It's hard to get by just upon a smile.
That's right.
Especially a toothy grinned one.
That's right. And sometimes, to create a moon shadow, you just have to punch the damn thing. That's all the Cat Stevens songs I can reference right now.
Trouble. Yeah. That's it.
Anyway, so but basically the thread is about, Nintendo. Did Nintendo look at games like Shadow the Hedgehog and say we need a badass anti-hero and we don't know what to do with Donkey Kong, so let's try to rebrand him as such with Jungle Beat, which would explain why he went from a laid-back peaceful beach bum and became basically a mega douche for a game.
Yeah.
It's a good thread. Check it out. Donkey Kong discussion as well. Finally, Tim Stamper's new company.
You mean called Tim Stamper, one of the two founders of Ultimate Play the Game, which became Rare.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the Stamper brothers.
Yes.
Tim Stamper, he has a new company. So, he left Rare to buy some sort of castle in in the Highlands.
Was it him or Chris that bought the castle?
I just assume they both bought the castle.
No, they actually made enough money on that sale that they could probably each afford their own castle.
Maybe it's a conjoined castle. They each, it's like I Love Lucy style. They put some tape down in the middle.
Yeah.
This is your half, this is my half.
And one of the castles has to shit. Maybe they alternate. But...
That's right. And they have gargoyles with the face of Sarah Jessica Parker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bringing it home.
Bringing it all back around.
In an extreme stretch of a way. Like Sarah Jessica Parker's face.
Just as bad as Banana Jones 2. Yeah, anyway, so Tim Stamper has he's back in video games.
Yeah.
He's got a new company called Fortune Fish, which, I guess going from Ultimate Play the Game to Rare to Fortune Fish, it doesn't really have the same kind of pow factor.
Now,
but
I know nothing about Fortune Fish. Have you looked into it?
Vague. I mean, I've perused the thread about it.
It's Fortune Fish. It sounds like a mobile game that's one of those microtransaction things that has you raising a fish tank and paying real money for fish food.
Well, you would think that, but that's the name of the company. It's not the name of their game.
Oh, my mistake. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a company name, it doesn't really have the same kind of succinct wow factor that Rare had, you know? But anyway, so they have a new game, and it's called That Bouncy Thing. And it's on it's on the Google Play Store. It's coming soon to the App Store. So it's for Androids, right? Androids and, anything that takes Google Play. But apparently, Tim Stamper's new company, Fortune Fish, they've been watching us on DK Vine. One of their employees registered the other day and has been making posts in the Tim Stamper's new company thread, and that's in other video game discussion. And yeah, so basically he said he showed DK Vine around, the forum around to everybody at the company, Tim Stamper included.
Wow.
So, and they actually tweeted about us on their official Twitter. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you, Fortune Fish and Tim Stamper and all of your wonderful employees, including the mystery employee who registered at DK Vine and has been corresponding with us for the past few days.
Yes, just please do not think that Man Cool or Planet Cool and Man Frog are representative of the forum as a whole.
Well, Chad, I don't know if you have been paying attention to the episodes the last few weeks, but we made a pact to basically treat Planet Cool like shit on the Conversation.
Oh, okay.
It basically just stems from we can never remember Planet Cool's name when referencing something that happened.
I just called him Man Cool, so clearly I can't either.
So clear because he's not part of the inner circle, the elite of DK Vine. So we're making a point to treat him like a horse's ass, like Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah. Well, I've always looked down my nose at Man Cool. So I can't. Planet Cool.
Planet Frog, yeah.
Yes. I've always thought less of him as a person. Just now I have a venue to express that opinion.
Exactly. It's one of the perks of having your own podcast.
Yes. And a website that we can control with an iron fist, despite the fact that we say we want it to be a warm, welcoming community, but really we're dictatorial assholes.
Exactly. Every generation needs its own Mussolini. We're just filling that gap.
Yes.
With our Donkey Kong website. Yeah. So anyway, check that bouncy thing out if you can. If you got an Android device, might be worth your time. I mean, it's got Tim Stamper's hands all over it, and if you respect him, if you respect what he brought to the video game industry, it's a mobile game. It's not going to break your bank. Check it out.
It has a postmodern title.
Yeah. What the hell is wrong with you? And it's coming soon to the App Store if you want to wait for that, which I probably will. So,
all right.
Anyway, real quick, subscribe to the show on iTunes. Rate us on iTunes. Don't rape us because
thank you for making that distinction.
You're not Roman Polanski, and your home country will extradite you.
Yes.
So, yeah,
you cannot stay in an Ecuadorian embassy.
Yeah,
they reserve those for the likes of Julian Assange.
You're not a successful filmmaker who escaped the Holocaust as a child, so no respect for you. So if you want to rape our show in the ass like Roman Polanski, you're not going to get away with it.
In the world of controversial film director figures, I would like to get Roman Polanski and Lars von Trier in a room together. One who survived the Holocaust and one who said he can understand what Hitler was trying to do.
I think that would make a great episode of The Conversation, and we could try to keep bringing it back around to Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
And they just go at it.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think Lars von Trier would win the conversation just by depressing everyone.
Yeah, and by the virtue that he didn't rape a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, all right. So follow The Conversation on Facebook, or follow DK Vine on Facebook. Conversation is part of DK Vine. We're Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube. Oh my God, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
But by the way, another shout out to Cameron, who's just doing a bang up job with the Tumblr.
Yes. Site editor Cameron Regal.
Yeah, he is. The Tumblr, it's just a fantastic read day in, day out. And also tell your friends about The Conversation. Just tell them about it.
Yeah,
just
tell them.
Call them up. Hey, have you heard about this show called The Conversation?
Hey,
you hear about this?
Yeah, you hear about this? Yeah. Stay tuned for it.
There you go.
Stay tuned for the podcast. Which doesn't exist. I don't know. Does it exist? I hope they do more of that.
I think it's just on. They take the concept of a hiatus actually seriously. So they're all sunning it up in the Caribbean right now.
Yeah, especially Jeff. He is in sunny January, Minnesota.
God, it's cold right now.
It is fucking cold. Today the high in New York City was 19 degrees.
Yeah, it was cold today, Kevin.
You hear about this? It was so cold that that's how hacky Jay Leno was. He would do those. It's so blank. He would put those jokes into his monologue.
And he would be in L.A. like Burbank. It's not going to be that cold there.
Yeah. You can't do that unless you have an early Johnny Carson, a Steve Allen, or a Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show.
Yeah. Yeah, he could do it. It's so hot, but even it never really got too hot in L.A. It would get hot indoors when you didn't have air conditioning.
Right.
But yeah, you had that, the
Let's
coastal.
let's stop talking about late night talk shows.
Okay, sure.
I really don't know where to go from here.
I'm lost. Good night, folks.
Yeah. This has
all
been a 5. All right. What
All right.
what else do we have?
Well, we got some calls to take. We haven't
Ew.
taken calls in a few weeks. We said we would take them.
It's been a few months, actually.
Oh, I don't know. How would you know, Chad?
I do listen.
Okay.
On occasion, I have been known.
All right. Well, okay. So we'll take them. Might have been a few months. Might have been a few weeks. Might have been a few days. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
A few days.
Days.
Avenue Kazuko Kuzo Conversation Acne och Edo the Edo X Internet.
All right. Well, that was weird.
I don't what. Oh, so okay. So I. What?
Yeah, okay, so from my aforementioned listenership, I know that after I asked the listeners to submit their own versions of the Kongversation theme song that I sang earlier in the show, Matt Corna, aforementioned site editor, co-brainchild of the Stanley the Bugman feature, did a version in German, and apparently this caller, who didn't give us his name, decided to do a cover of that. Okay.
Do we know it wasn't Matt? Like, do we know that for sure? Matt just didn't want to cover his own song.
I don't know that for sure, but it looked like it was a North American phone number. So who knows? It could be Matt. Maybe he just got completely blitzed and decided to do that. But
He hopped on a plane, landed at I don't know, JFK, whipped out the phone, gave us a call, flew back.
yeah, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
But it's a good opportunity, though. I wanted to re-mention that that phone number, 1-281-410-KONG or 5664. Please give us a call. We are going to resume taking calls. It was a little weird through the doldrums of winter, but we're still in those doldrums. We still have.
I was gonna say the doldrums of winter. Winter's like 2 weeks
okay,
old.
the doldrums. Oh, don't be one of those people. No, that's ridiculous to say that the solstice is the start of the season. Just go by months. December, January, February. Let's just call it that.
March. Let's be fair.
March is not part of winter. What are you talking about?
The first couple weeks of March are winter.
No,
yes.
no. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like when you think of winter, what do you think of? Cold, snow, because we're biased to the northern hemisphere.
Okay, Jen. Here's the thing, though. You're from Texas, so
Yes.
I don't know what your marches are like.
I'm going off of the pop culture definition of winter, like the what you see in television and movie. That winter is cold. The spring brings the. I'm getting into a worst witch song now. Summertime brings the sun. New Year's Eve is a bore. But on Halloween, your skin begins to crawl. No, I'm losing control, Hyle. I think that the cold part of the year is late November into the end of February. I mean, that's when it's at its coldest. Yeah. The solstice is the longest days, and when you are tilted. Well, when that rotation around the sun will result in your tilt being the most extreme, kind of a thing.
You're one of those conformists who thinks that summer ends with Labor Day, aren't you?
Yeah, basically. I mean, come on. Summer is June, July, August,
and the first bit of September. The first couple weeks of September.
Autumn, September, October, November. Winter, December, January, February. Come on.
I'll agree. Culturally, summer begins with June or Memorial Day if you're here in the States.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you can stretch.
I'm sorry. I just think it's a little stupid to say that on December 21st, that is the first day of winter. I hate Poor Richard's Almanac. Fuck your agrarian society. I don't want it.
I'm just going by what my druid elders told me.
All right.
All right.
Now who's laughing? That was a deep cut.
Yeah. I'm just going to press on and take the next call if you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Hey, this is Sun Wukong from the DK Vine forums. So it's 1 in the morning right now, and not actually drunk, but I kind of feel like it. Anyway, I just had a random hypothetical question cross my mind and figured, why not call it Conversation? And, I asked you guys and see what you thought about this. So say the only way we would ever get a new Donkey Kong game, like a good proper one, was that it would be full of blatant product placement. Like every banana would have like a Chiquita banana sticker on it. And it would be really obvious and crisp 1080p high definition because it would be on the Wii U and they would come out with banana juice, Mountain Dew, and all the Kongs would be drinking Mountain Dew over the course of the game. Like, would you rather just not get a new game at all or have to put up with that? Kind of random, but I thought it was funny. And that's all I got. Bye.
All right. Well, thank you, Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
Is that a reference I don't get? Like, is that a pun?
Well, Sun Wukong has been around the forum for a long time, but I've never really understood the name, so Sun Wukong clan. I don't know where he's. I don't know where he's trying to go with this.
Anyway, yeah. So it's just one of those things I never think about. I see a name. If the pun doesn't immediately jump out at me, I don't think about it.
Right.
But isolating it in the context of having to think about Sun Wukong's name, I realize I don't know what it means.
Don't understand it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the hypothetical question, actually sort of an interesting one and not unprecedented in a Nintendo game.
Not anymore. No.
Well, not since 2001.
What happened in 2001? Besides 9/11.
Yes. Pikmin came out and had product or was it just Pikmin 2 that really? I know Pikmin 2 had a lot of product placement. I think the first Pikmin did as well. But they did it in such a way that it wasn't what Sun Wukong explained, where the characters are, basically the Wayne's World product placement. Like, let me enjoy these Doritos,
Yeah.
What they did in Pikmin was basically they would slowly reveal that the game is taking place on a post-apocalyptic Earth because the quote-unquote treasures that you're collecting are discarded Duracell batteries or Snapple caps, which was it was a really clever way to do it. And they changed the branding based on the region. So, like, Japan had a different kind of battery or a different kind of canned tea drink. So it was a pretty cool way to do it. For his question, though, what do you think?
I wouldn't have a problem with it, honestly. Product placement, it only bothers me when it's grating, but I think, when you're smart with it, it just makes it a more realistic, fleshed out world, in my opinion. I mean, I ultimately, I would rather have fictional brands. To give us something to obsess over, like little details where it's like, well, there's,
like McJiggies.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't have a problem if, Chiquita is kind of iffy on ethically,
We've already had Chiquita cross promotion with Donkey Kong Country Returns, just not in game.
Not in game, no.
How is Chiquita ethically iffy? Does it fund cocaine producers in Bolivia or something?
Banana Wars, look it up.
Okay. Oh well, yeah. I know about the Banana Wars, but I thought those were like decades ago.
Well, you can still hold a grudge, right?
Sure, why not?
So
that's why nobody uses IBM products anymore.
Oh, yeah. True.
Come on, corporations can move on from the way they behaved before, like, social consciousness was a thing. If they're I'm not saying that Chiquita has moved on. They very well could be the worst company in the world that produces delicious fruit. But you know, I'm willing to not just assume that they're a terrible company.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately though, like I wouldn't really care. I wouldn't want like the Kongs visiting Walmart to get their supplies, you know.
Right.
You know, something like, you know, having Mountain Dew. I mean, look, here's the reason I don't really care. It's because Rare did it in their own games to like a ridiculous degree. Like there is product placement for Rare themselves.
Oh yes,
in Rare games. I mean, they were excessive about it. So I think it just kind of. It's not as funny if it's actually an outside company, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and the sad part is it's very difficult to make a joke about it that isn't the Wayne's World joke that everyone else has ripped off.
Even 30 Rock.
Even 30 Rock. What was it? I only date guys who. What was it?
I only date guys who drink Snapple.
Who drink Snapple. Yeah. That Cerise said. Yeah. And then there was a giant Snapple guy coming out of the elevator. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But. You know, and that right now, that is an overused angle to take, so I really wouldn't want them to make a joke about it. But if they don't say anything about it, then it's a little awkward and it feels cheap. I'll say this: I would put up with it if it meant getting a new Donkey Kong Country game. To me, it is a lesser evil than not having a new game.
Agreed. And, you know, I think so long as you don't betray the characters with the product placement, like if Funky's drinking a Mountain Dew, then it works, you know? Or if he's got a Mountain Dew in the background or whatever. But if it's, you know...
But if Funky is reading Encyclopedia Britannica...
Do they still make Encyclopedia Britannica?
I don't know. That was a very 90s thing to say.
I remember the commercials for Who was the guy? Who was that guy?
Oh, the guy with the glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It was probably a different guy, but I used to watch this series of VHS dinosaur videos that my parents would mail order for me, and I think that guy was the host of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just remember like they had the Disney afternoon. They would have the encyclopedia, the Britannica commercials, and the guy. I was just like, oh, he wears glasses.
Yeah. And he can read about them if he orders the G set.
Oh,
wow!
Yeah. Before Wikipedia just made our thirst for knowledge just center around what our interests are.
Yeah.
So like Stanley the Bugman, I could just go to the Stanley article and then delete references to the Bugman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would love if the Encyclopedia Britannica entry on Wikipedia was perpetually under attack.
They have to remain vigilant that the Encyclopedia Britannica will never rise again.
Right.
Anyway, so long as it stays faithful to the characters and it's not like grating and takes away from the actual aesthetics of the universe, then I don't have a problem with it.
Yep.
It's the lesser evil than not getting a Donkey Kong game, as you said.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What's up next?
Anyway, I know I have to call for a while, but I'm just kind of happy that I listened to just some of those really weird Stanley the Bugman videos he had along with that article that Matt did, which is actually really funny. Let me tell you. But anyway, kind of that
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Okay. No.
This call, by the way, goes on for a further minute and a half. But okay, I can't tell what the hell he's saying.
It's Mamechi, right?
Yes, I could get that much. But so the way we do the calls, I think that this is the best way we should do this. The way we do the calls is via a Google line, and Google tries to do a transcription of the call. It's
what's going on here? Was he like calling from a tunnel or what?
I don't know, but it's too garbled. Mamechi, apologies.
Has he moved in with the mole people? I mean,
yeah.
Does he have a timeshare? In Chud territory? I don't. Okay, but
So yeah, Google tries to translate these, and the only artifact we have aside from this audio call is what Google thinks he was saying. So, Hyle, if you'll indulge, I would like to read this transcript, and maybe we can glean some insight into what Mamechi was asking.
So just to be clear, this is a Google transcript of Mamechi's call.
Yes.
So it translates it into English text.
Yes, and I will be pausing where there's punctuation. I will be saying everything verbatim. All right.
Okay, so this should be pretty accurate because Google's, the forefront of this technology.
Yes, Google is the big dog in the voice recognition industry. This is going to be as legitimate a transcription as one could possibly hope for.
This is going to be great for when I go deaf.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
It's and anyway, I don't have to call for a bulk discount. This is too. Some of those coasts we had sent me the bucks, and is you had A-OK articles Madman it, which I should really funny. Let me tell you. But anyway, hey, that anything important? Content building movie over. So, all right. Bye, yeah, people with goodbye. I would. Dondero, call when you can say hello, Rio K10. What I have the rights to tomorrow. Hope you and Zelda. So, just because, State University. No, by tomorrow, Sultanov our man. I'm. Yeah for it. So, do you think of that? The proper care. I just said, say that ventures. And I'm even crazy galaxy past. What wow. Would, that would be calling, and the end with the 1,000. My eyes, and say, oh, only now. I'll keep in mind. I was gonna match, madam, peoplereallylove.com or work on. That's all, yeah, I'd like to do is, I just like to know your ideas, things, and I can, and of course, most part of your pocket, happy reach him such a thing, so I think this time. I'm looking forward to it. If you guys.
Well,
So
some really great points there, Mamechi.
yeah. Very, very salient topics for conversation.
It actually reminds me of the Tommy Wiseau interview on the AV Club that I referenced off the air before we started.
Yeah,
the show.
I need to check that out. Is it just as bizarre stream of consciousness transcription-y?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. Sorry, Mamechi. It seems like you had a connection issue. Please call us back because it was a 2-minute phone call, and you're a good caller. You don't troll us like a Master DS. So Master DS, stop calling and doing comedy bits. We will not play them. Stop it. Mamechi, give us another ring. Ask us the question again. We would love to hear from you.
I would like to touch on the point about Hope You and Zelda. So just because State University.
Oh yeah.
So I think that the Penn State child molestation scandal really put a damper on that generation of Zelda.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm sorry.
It was really hard to recover from Twilight Princess after that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's kind of why they split it into a GameCube version and a Wii U version, to try and distance themselves from what happened on the GameCube one.
Yeah, really. I mean, entering the Twilight realm into through a child's asshole was just, I think, beyond the pale.
It really was.
Yeah.
So just
shame on you, Penn State and Nintendo.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
So just because. All right. Next caller. Next.
Hey, Hyle and somebody else. I don't actually know who's going to be on the show, so I'll just say hi to all of you, everybody. This is Seth. I called a while back to talk about Super Smash Bros. Fisticuffs. The V is for 5, like in Roman numerals. Haven't called in a while, but I've been listening, and I actually have a genuine question for you guys. There's a lot of hate recently about Sakurai, and I get it. But I do wonder why you guys haven't embraced the whole Kid Icarus thing a little bit more. I mean, in reality, Sakurai essentially did with that franchise what Rare did with Donkey Kong. Before you take out your pitchforks, he took an existing 8-bit franchise and, he made it modern. And when Rare brought back Donkey Kong, they made it modern. Nowadays it's super 90s, but I think Kid Icarus will be super like 2010 in a couple of years. You can even see it that way right now. I think they certainly injected a lot of humor into it, much like Rare did. Whether or not you think it's funny, that's a whole nother story. Most of it isn't, by the way. They break the fourth wall a ton in that game and in the new franchise Rebirth in general, something that Rare tended to do as well. And they added a shit ton of backstory and continuity, and they even sort of continued it with Smash Brothers a little bit, and like green-haired girl who, I don't fucking care what her name is, green-haired girl is like talking to Pit and being like, hey, remember when we were battling that one time? You fought me. Shit like that. So, I really think that the translation really helped too. The Nintendo of America translated really expertly and made it a lot less crazy Japanesey than I expected. Of course, I'm talking about Kid Icarus Uprising. So I want to know what you think about the Kid Icarus franchise in general, about, why you don't see it in the same light as Rare's, Rebirth of Donkey Kong. And, let me know. Okay, I'm going to go now. Goodbye.
Okay,
All right.
Seth. All right. He's asking us a pretty valid question. Why haven't we embraced Kid Icarus? Hyle, do you have... Well, first off, have we ever really expressed an opinion about Kid Icarus Uprising on its own, or more in the context of its overuse in Smash?
Well, we would have never had the opportunity to express our opinion on the game on its own merits as a game,
right,
rather than all of the politics of Smash Brothers.
I'm just thinking, at some point, did we ever go down a tangent hole that resulted in us talking about Uprising? But I don't think it ever happened.
I don't think we have.
So,
no.
Well, what are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, I don't have any issue with the game. Okay. My thing is, it doesn't appeal to me, but I don't hate it. It's just, I don't know. It's just not a game I had to run out and buy when it came out.
Okay. See, I did run out and buy it.
You like ran through the front door like when it came out.
Yeah.
You just like Hard Day's Night style. You just were running towards the game shop.
That's right. And I had to launder my movements through several sitting cars. Yeah, just so the mob that was also trying to get Uprising was not able to follow me to the GameStop.
Yeah.
But no, I really like the NES Kid Icarus, and I know I'm probably alone on that.
Really? Because I know it gets a lot of recognition just because it was an early NES game, and Pit was an early mascot of Nintendo, and like Kid Icarus characters were featured in like Captain N, and other things.
No,
so I know like
I don't really follow any of that ancillary stuff. Just as a game, I find it very fun. It's like it's brutally difficult, but it's an adventure that you're on, and you do go up for the first couple stages, and then you go horizontal, and eventually you go back down into the underworld, and then there's a huge maze, and it's really fun. The only issue is that you can't save it. So as a kid, I never beat the game. But
see, I think that would be a game where I would just plug the Game Genie into and just cheat like a fucker.
Yeah,
because I want to see the ending.
Yeah, I mean,
and I didn't really have time once battery back saving became the standard. I didn't really have time for games that wouldn't save.
It did have those code based saves like Metroid did. But
it never felt as legit to me.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the reason I bought Uprising was mostly because Nintendo was including the 3D Classics version of the NES Kid Icarus as a pre-order bonus. So that's what I wanted, and ultimately I sold back Kid Icarus Uprising. It was a good enough game, and I just had a huge problem with the control scheme. I could never play the thing without cramping or having an awkward Virtual Boy-esque setup where I had to rest everything on a table at just the right angle. Yeah.
Because to be perfectly truthful, I have not played it. So let's what makes the control schemes to the point where you can't even hold the 3DS like you normally would?
Well, so you have to control Pit with the left analog stick and control your aiming and all of that with the stylus on the touchscreen. So,
oh my god!
Yeah, so you're basically holding the entire device up with your left hand, unless you use this like cradle device that was packaged in with the game. To Nintendo's credit, they did package this thing in with it, but it was just really awkward. And I hear that I think that the new 3DS that has the C-stick nub might be able to alleviate. I don't know if they've ever come out with anything that rectifies this, but to me, I was only able to get through a few hours, and the game wasn't engaging enough to keep playing it, to put up with that. But some people have, and by all accounts, Seth is right. It is basically a continuity-driven and character-driven reimagining of an old school game, a la Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen of it, like, I can respect that, and I can respect what Sakurai did with it.
Yeah.
I think that the main difference, but the reason Donkey Kong Country grabbed me by the Ghoulies and Kid Icarus Uprising didn't is because Donkey Kong Country has the Western British sense of humor. And
well,
also,
hang on, though.
All right.
God, so does Kid Icarus.
Okay, it's not just like... Explain. Okay, explain.
I can't think of any specific examples because, again, I only played for a couple hours, but I remember really being impressed with the writing in the game. It didn't feel like it was an obtuse to Western audience anime style thing. I mean, the characters certainly were inspired by anime art style, but it really did. And to Seth's point, NOA, presumably the Treehouse, did the translation, and it really did make it seem like a Western game, like a Rare style sense of humor. Not as subversive and metatextual as Rare, but it was solid writing. Trust me on it. It was very good, very well written.
All right, I'll take your word for it. I do trust your opinion on matters such as this.
Yes.
I will say, though, that honestly, the reason Donkey Kong Country grabbed me was because it is like perfectly tailor-made for all of my interests outside of video games. So, nature, gorillas, it just... the Indiana Jones-esque aspect. It's just stuff that would naturally appeal to me as a kid.
Inexplicably duplicated swordfish refracting off of strange water properties. Also one of your hobbies.
One of my main hobbies.
Right.
That age? Of course. Yeah. But, it was... nothing appeals to me like DKC because that's my life. That's my interest outside of Nintendo. So I like the whole Greek myth aesthetic of Kid Icarus. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not gonna get me rushing to the stores.
I used to be really into mythology, and I would read books. Like in the elementary...
You would read books? Wow.
Yeah. In the elementary school library, they would have those, kids' books about, this compendium of all the Egyptian gods and stories about them, I ate that shit up. Greek, Roman, Norse, all of it. I love that stuff. I was into Thor before Thor was a thing. Well... No, not before Thor was a thing.
I was going to say, he's been a thing an awfully long time.
I was into Thor independent of the Marvel line.
You can't pull the hipster card with Thor.
Right. Unless you're a Viking.
Unless you're like Methuselah,
Right. Methuselah. Okay. Dennis
Miller.
Dennis Miller, yeah.
You couldn't even remember Dennis Miller's name.
Yeah, I was thinking, for some reason, my brain went Dennis Leary, and I was like, that is not right.
No, that's not.
Not at all. Anyway, so
No. That if I did a Bill Hicks routine, you could call me Dennis Leary.
you're right. I don't understand that. What?
What?
Explain to me.
Oh, you've never like
I know Bill Hicks, but
all the controversy of early on, Dennis Leary was accused of just plagiarizing and ripping off Bill Hicks.
oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he is an asshole. EO. World's biggest asshole. You know, I always liked that line in Dennis Leary's asshole song where he's, I like to park in handicapped spaces while handicapped people make handicapped faces. It's like, it's offensive on several levels. Anyway, I don't think that being into mythology, despite the fact that I am, is really a prerequisite to enjoying the game.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I'm just explaining why something like DKC held my interest when Kid Icarus never grabbed it, despite them coming from maybe the same mindset of we're going to bring hyper continuity and a fleshed out world to this retro property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not to say I'm never gonna play it. I might pick it up. I played my 3DS quite a bit, and I'm probably gonna run out and buy some more games here after my financial situation post holidays kind of settles again. So
I would really appreciate if usually I really roll my eyes at ports, especially so recently after they come out, unless they add something to the game, a la Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, which let us play with a reasonable control scheme. Same thing. I would love if they did like an HD Wii U version of Kid Icarus Uprising and let me play with 2 control sticks or the gamepad and the controller. I think that I would play that. It's just the control scheme kept me out of the game. But Seth, please don't get me wrong for someone who has played the game. I think that your comparison is certainly apt. I think it's reasonable to make, and I think Kid Icarus Uprising was a good game.
All right, and I will probably agree with you if I ever play it. So,
alrighty.
All right, one last call.
There we go.
All right. Hey, yeah, it's Mamechi again, and today, so happened that yesterday Nintendo announced Puzzle and Dragons Super Mario Brothers Edition. So it's official now. Nintendo's trying to get the casual audience from those iOS games. For those of you who don't know, Puzzle and Dragons is like a hugely popular iOS game in Japan. That's just huge. And it's like their Candy Crush saga, basically. So, Nintendo's kind of selling out of this, but, let's think about this with Donkey Kong for a minute. So let's say, Nintendo wanted to, kind of make a few extra bucks with Donkey Kong. And, just simply slap his face on some stupid game. So let's say Nintendo is going to do the same thing with Donkey Kong, alright? Slap him on some dumb phone game. So, in this case, what do you think would be a alright fit for Donkey Kong in the case of like an iOS or Android game? Alright, so and it's gonna be half-assed. Okay, just think about it like that, half-assed, but think about it'll kind of fit. So just think about that for a minute. Alright, thanks.
He finally got through.
Hey, Mamechi, and this time we can actually understand you.
Yeah, I wonder if this is what his original call was or if that one is just lost to the ages.
Mamechi, you'll have to call back and explain it to us.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be able to understand you, or else this could go on for an awfully long time.
Yeah, but so this is fairly late-breaking news. At least in the last week or so, I think, that Nintendo has apparently announced, and I'm taking Mamechi's word for it. I haven't seen the news article myself.
I saw it. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Was it recent?
Yeah. It was like 2 nights ago, as of the posting of this episode.
Okay. Cool. So very recently. Puzzle Dragons Mario Edition. I've never heard of it, but Yeah, if it's like some kind of iOS or mobile game like Candy Crush in Japan, okay. It seems a bit unprecedented for Nintendo to do. Honestly, I mean, the closest thing they've ever done is the Pokédex iOS app, and that's more of a Game Freak thing than a Nintendo thing, right?
Okay, one thing I think has to be pointed out, though, is that they haven't announced that this is actually going to come out on any mobile platforms. This has been announced for the Nintendo 3DS. So while this initially seems like a big revelation, it's actually just business as usual for Nintendo. So
they reserve that for their own consoles.
If we're going to answer his question, I think it just has to be in the hypothetical.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to see Donkey Kong What's It, or, like we're not going to see like Donkey Kong Farmville or anything.
Do you think they don't perceive Donkey Kong as a big enough moneymaker, or what's your rationale for that?
Well, I think Mario and Zelda, I think, and then Pokemon, but that's mostly Game Freak.
Yeah.
The Pokemon Company. It's not going to be Nintendo's sole call there. So I think Mario and Zelda are what Iwata and crew would think to whore out, and they wouldn't really consider anything else.
Also, it's telling that this is only for a game that's popular in Japan.
I heard they're bringing it out here in the U.S.
Oh,
and
are
it's
they?
Going to be published by Nintendo of America in the U.S.
Ooh, weird.
Yeah, now that's just what I heard. It might be inaccurate. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
you're getting your news from YouTube comments.
well, maybe joke and shed some light on it, but
yeah.
No, I think that I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Donkey Kong game. Don't get me wrong. My belief that it's never going to happen doesn't mean I wouldn't want to see it. I think something like, let's revive Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers and put it on the let's put it on iOS or Google Play. I think. I remember when I was playing It's Mr. Pants, I was slush funding it. I said, this game is charming, but it seems like a relic already, because this is the kind of game that you would just download from the App Store today.
Yes.
There would not be a cartridge for it or a disc for it. It would not be on a portable system or a console.
Mm-hmm.
And I still believe that, and I think that I'm kind of wish Microsoft, we had that trilogy of mobile games using the rare characters in the early aughts to the mid aughts. We had Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge mobile edition.
Yeah.
We had It's Mr. Pants mobile edition, and we had Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge missions, and which basically they split Grunty's Revenge into two because the game couldn't handle all of it. So they took the little mini games and made it their own game with it. But besides the point, we had those three games and then nothing else.
Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising we've never seen, a Banjo, like Microsoft trying to milk the Banjo property in the same way. I mean, they're still valuable IPs with a lot of nostalgia behind them. You would think that they would do more with them.
Mm-hmm. One would think, but
one would think. Especially since Microsoft wouldn't be as inherently protective of it as Nintendo is about their babies.
Yeah, it's strange the kind of things that Microsoft shills for or does not. It's sort of the same as Nintendo, whereas like it's very difficult to figure out if these business decisions are just made at random or if there actually is a larger, corporate edict behind the scenes.
And I think it's something we're going to touch upon in our big Smash Brothers episode. I've got some theories about Nintendo's MO under the reign of Iwata, and it'll be an interesting discussion.
I look forward to that.
Is that next week? Is that what we're planning? Next week?
Yeah,
next week.
Let's do it. Let's tell the audience next week. Part 1 of our 2-part Super Smash Brothers for Wii U impressions.
And we've been hinting at some shit talking. So if you're a fan of some controversial podcasting, tune in.
Yeah. This is not how you grow an audience.
Well, we're gonna be fair. We're gonna be tough but fair.
We're every point that we have, every mark for and against the game, we will back up with reasoning.
And remember, part 2, we're bringing in the biggest fan of the game on the staff, Jeff Onan.
That's right.
And so we are going to have a rebuttal episode.
Yes, we will. We will end the 2-part Smash Brothers saga on what could be a high note if Jeff is able to make his case.
Or we might verbally eviscerate Jeff. Though, so.
Verbally.
Anyway, thank you for the call, Mamechi, and everybody who called this week.
And once more, 1-281-410-5664 or KONG. Please give us a call. Let us know if you have a question, if you have a comment. We will hear from you and play it, and as long as it's not Master DS trying to do some hecky-shecky hilarious bit while he's driving home from work. We can hear your turn signal, Master DS. Stop calling.
What does Master DS have a routine in like the Borscht Belt? Like what hecky shecky? What is that?
I don't know. He's always got some bit that he's doing, and we're never going to play it. You're wasting your time and lowering our opinion of you. Stop it.
To be fair, we have played them in the past.
We have, and maybe he thinks that set a precedent. I can only assure you it did not.
All right. Master DS is discouraged that Chad has come back full force.
Yeah. Someone came in and started enforcing quality control.
Speaking of quality control,
my favorite segment.
It's time for Joe Reads the YouTube Comments.
Yay!
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you Joe Mudd, reading the YouTube comments for last week's episode. Right, I've decided from now on I'm not going to read every single one of them, just the edited highlights. We might as well start off with our old friend Metro Android, who has a hasty backpedal here for us. He says, "Hey, I didn't say I wasn't a fan of Chad, I just said I'm more of a fan of Hyle's humour. His bitter, sarcastic, pessimistic humour. Hashtag feel better Chad, hashtag I still love you." Actually, does hashtag still work if I say it out loud? Wouldn't it be cool if you were, like, flicking through Twitter, and then you clicked on one and you suddenly heard my voice go, hashtag bacon! Anyway, next up is Casper Kuzmicki, who says the original score for Tropical Freeze is 5 out of 10, which sickens me, and DK Vine has responded that it's a completely laughable, pissy reaction that no true critical review of the game should have formulated. Absolutely agreed. The Reloader says, "Man, I gotta get back in the loop. Congrats on your 2 years of the station." Thanks, the Reloader. What a swell fellow he is. Next up, Sun Wukong saying, "In Interstellar, in regards to the secret ingredient being love, as you put it, I was all over that shit." I mean, I haven't seen this film, Interstellar, but do they really say that? Do they really do that old fucking Simpsons joke with the secret ingredient is love? Who's been screwing with this thing? Because I can't believe a film would do that straight-faced. But then again, Avatar did have unobtainium, didn't it? So fucking who knows what stupid shit Hollywood's gonna fart out at us these days, Imagine, I reckon the next Hollywood blockbuster is gonna be The Man Who Went Swimming After Eating His Sandwich, when not yet 1 whole hour had elapsed. So anyway, we've got a lovely comment from Samasaran311. Despite the name, he has good things to say, which is, 2014 was definitely a fantastic year to be a super fan of the DKC and the DKU. We had the release of the amazing masterpiece that is Tropical Freeze, and we celebrated the glorious 20th anniversary of Rare's mighty platforming achievement, Donkey Kong Country for the SNES, which also marked the birth of our beloved DKU, just to name a few. I don't really have friends who are as obsessed with the DKU as I am, so having the Kongversation episodes to look forward to weekly through all these events and celebrations was a real special experience for me personally. Thank you guys for all the wonderful work you've put into the show this year. Looking forward to what's in store for the Kongversation in 2015. Well, thanks for the kind words, Samus. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to our all-nude episode. We're doing that sometime in March. And then the one where we're all on heroin. TrueJuna16 says, "I want to believe that Diddy Kong Racing 2 it's real. It doesn't matter if it's on the 3DS or the Wii U, or maybe the 3D Donkey Kong game that Kensuke Tanabe, sorry if I've mispronounced that, alluded to at the beginning of the year could happen." I'm starting to think that it's probably not true, on the grounds that so many holes have been poked in the identity of the fellow whoever leaked the rumours about this game. I can't remember his name. Something Mook something. It had a Mook in it, I think. And we also know that a bunch of all the Smash Brothers rumours have turned out to be false, like Chunky Watch and all that. And I'm beginning to... there's still a little spark of hope inside me for Earthbound Forever, but let's face it, that's probably bollocks too. But DK Vine has responded. The president of Camelot Software Planning has said he'd love to do a sequel to Donkey Kong 64 as well. Plenty of people on the fringes of Nintendo are fans of DK and want to develop for his world. I for one say that they could have a shot. I mean, what else are Camelot busy with these days, eh? They're still doing those bloody golf and tennis games, but who actually gives a shit, honestly? Right, that's all the comments. Good night.
Well, thank you for that, Joe.
Yeah, I definitely listened to that ahead of time to know what you said.
Chad took a little nap during that whole segment.
Well, Joe's actually submitting his segment as we're recording, so it's sort of impossible for us to know what he did, but I'm assuming it was great because Joe's great.
Joe's a great guy, and we wanted to give him a little bit of a correspondent piece, much like the Daily Show does. He is our John Oliver.
But I believe he'll be on next week for the first part of our Smash Brothers episode, right?
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
But it's very hard getting you two crazy kids in the same podcast together. So
right. Well, as hard as it would be getting, Tony Clifton and Andy Kaufman in the same room together.
That's right. Yeah.
So now that we're an hour and 13 minutes into this episode, what's the topic for the show?
Oh, we're far past an hour and 13 minutes.
Oh, that's right. That's how long we've recorded. We still have to put in all those calls. Okay, now that we're like an hour and 22 minutes into the episode, what do you reckon? What should we talk about first thing 2015?
Well, okay, I was thinking back to 2 years ago when we were just starting this crazy adventure called the Kongversation.
Yeah.
And I remember our second episode, we did our Wii U first impressions, because the Wii U was still the new kid on the block then.
Right.
And I didn't even have one, so it was basically you giving your first impressions and me quizzing you on it. And then a year later or so, I got a Wii U for Tropical Freeze, and I gave my first impressions along with Jeff. So it's been a year for me. It's been 2 years for you. I thought it would be a good time to reevaluate how we feel about the Wii U, because we both had a lot of experience with it. There's been a lot of time has passed. Games have come out. Upgrades have been made. Chad, how did you feel about the Wii U 2 years ago? Because I don't remember.
I actually, in preparation for this, spoiler or not spoiler, but a little insight. I was feigning ignorance over the topic of the show. It's actually on a bulleted list right in front of me.
What?
I know. It's almost as if we kind of planned this thing. I listened to episode 102 of the show from early 2013 in preparation for this, and I had shockingly positive things to say about the Wii U.
I think that's where I was quizzing you. I was like, oh, surely you must want to shit talk this thing, right?
Yeah. I was like, no, it's actually because what I said is that I had New Super Mario Brothers U, which I praised the Mario World-esque physics, and I also actually praised Nintendo Land.
I remember that. I remember that's where I was really incredulous about your opinion, because Nintendo Land, I just remember all of the angst around that game when it was announced.
Yeah, believe it or fucking not. Nintendo Land actually showed off the promise for the gamepad controller. 2 years later, Nintendo Land has showed off the promise for the the gamepad controller. It still is the best use that I've seen of that fucking thing.
Well, I think that's a good place to start then.
Yeah.
It's the gamepad.
Yes.
I like the feel of it. Obviously it's not as comfortable as a GameCube controller, but considering that the fucking adapter is still impossible to find, can't play it with a GameCube controller. So,
well, before we start getting into this, what were your first impressions? I don't remember that either.
Well, I remember my biggest thing was I liked the feel of it, because I liked that it kind of felt like holding a 3DS or a portable gaming system, but for the console. Because in the last decade or so, I mostly gravitated towards portable gaming versus consoles.
Right.
So I like that. My biggest problem with it was the menu, the just the interface.
The operating system, that whole thing.
And I thought that was god awful. But overall, I didn't have too many issues with it. But just trying to figure out how to operate the thing and getting around on it, like it took a while. There was there's a steep learning curve there, and I just couldn't figure out how Nintendo, who were the masters of simplicity, could botch their basically their OS like this.
Well, as we've said repeatedly, they're masters of simplicity when it comes to gameplay, but menu design, they have no fucking idea what they're doing.
Well, it's gotten worse. I mean, it didn't used to be this bad.
Oh, you mean Nintendo in general? Like
in general, like
I thought you meant the Wii U menus, which I would disagree. I think they have improved over time.
Yeah. But I mean, their games have gotten worse as far as menus too.
Yes, this is also true, and it's. I think that as games have just inherently gotten more complex with more play modes and more styles and all of these customizable things. It used to be you put in a game, you turned it on and hit start, and you were playing the game. Nintendo just never really invested in UX designers or experts to make these sort of decisions for them. They only focus. It's probably the kind of thing where they have people who traditionally program video games trying to make these things, whereas other companies have dedicated resources, and that's just speculation on my part, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I would say that's a valid hypothesis. Yeah, but anyway, I had I think mostly positive things to say about the Wii U as well. Of course, I gave my first impressions immediately after getting it and only playing Tropical Freeze.
Right.
So of course it was kind of colored by the aura of a new Donkey Kong Country game.
Yes.
So anyway,
I think that really if we're going to avoid talking about the games themselves and just focus on the system, there's really two things. There's the hardware and then the software, the operating system. Now, in terms of the OS, which you and I both hated when the system, when it came out, and then over a year later when you got it, it had definitely improved by the time you got your hands on it.
How?
Well, when I got it, it would take about 45 seconds to get to the Waru Waru Plaza. Everything took so long. Anytime you would hit the home button while you were playing a game, you would have to wait at least 10 seconds for anything to pop up. Like, it was slow, agonizingly slow. And they improved that by the time Tropical Freeze had come out.
Well, they've really improved things now because you can just skip over the damn plaza.
Oh yeah, that quick start menu, that was a godsend. That was really cool.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the plaza since getting the quick start menu.
Yeah, the only time I see it is if I'm going for some obscure, if I'm going for like system menu or something that's not on the quick start as one of my recently accessed things.
I know I've gone on this rant. I'm pretty sure I have about the whole plaza thing. It makes no sense to me.
No.
It's clear. I mean, no, I understand the purpose. It's a way to advertise to you like hot games that are out. You
it's
like to see what other people are saying about them.
And it's a visualization of Miiverse, which was their big push with the Wii U. Which I still think Miiverse is either it was a bad idea to begin with, or it was a good idea that they just had no idea how to execute. But either way, it's so obtuse and like it takes so long to do anything. There's no seamless integration with the games. You have to like Miiverse would be a perfect thing to leverage for matchmaking in Mario Kart or Smash Brothers. And yet, if I want to start a game with someone who shows up as online, it says message this friend. So you go there, wait 10 seconds for Miiverse to load, send them a message, but it doesn't pop up for them. There's no like Miiverse process running in the background. They'll just see that the next time they happen to go look at their messages in Miiverse.
Right, yeah. And
Which it says, oh, 6 days ago, Chad wanted to play Mario Kart with me. You know, like, I've literally done that to people before I realized that's how it worked. Like, I have friends here in New York that live too far away to, like, game in person on a regular basis, so I sent them a Miiverse message, and then they saw it like 2 weeks later, where I'm just like, hey, you want to go for a match? Like, what are you talking about?
It's basically social media as interpreted by carrier pigeons.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, so Miiverse, I think, is just an abject failure.
Well, yeah, I'll agree, and I also think that my issue with the Plaza is that there's no interactivity to be had on it. It's just, and it's like, okay, all these people are saying these things about these games, but I don't really care because I don't know these people.
And I don't know those games. A lot of them are like really obscure eShop titles.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, okay, they're obviously plugging these games and maybe trying to drum up interest, but I want to see what people are saying about Tropical Freeze or another game I have. You know, I don't really care what people are saying about Bayonetta 2. It's not a game I'm probably gonna pick up, you know?
Yeah, and the one obvious thing to do in a plaza like that, where you have a bunch of little Miis running around, is to let you control your Mii.
Let you control it and go around and see what people are saying. You could go to each Mii and like click A, and a dialogue box will pop up with their most recent post.
Yeah, you know, last week Joe Mudd gave a preview of his Smash Brothers thoughts, where he said the first thing he did was when encountering the huge clickable buttons of the Smash Brothers menu, he tried to push that. The first thing I did when encountering Waru Waru Plaza is try and run around in it. And
because my little guy, my little Mii pops down. I think, oh, I can control this, and I thought maybe the whole plaza. When they first previewed like the plaza at E3, whatever, I thought like you would be able to go around to the little like icons, little things, and control. I thought it'd be like a menu interpreted as a 3D map screen.
Right, which is how Nintendo Land works, and it works actually pretty well for Nintendo Land. You've got everyone else's Miis running around, and you're controlling your Mii, and you go from feature to feature around the Nintendo Land park. Why that wasn't Waru Waru Plaza, I have no idea. But
ultimately, this is a moot point because you can just skip over the damn thing now.
Yes, I never look at it.
No, and it's really great, especially if you're really into a game that you're playing. It's going to be on your quick start menu. It's going to be in your system. You know, you can just skip the whole process, and it makes it so much quicker.
Right. The eShop is pretty abysmal in terms
it's so hard to search for things.
Yes, in terms of organization, it's terrible. But honestly, their search function, if you know the exact title of the game, you can usually find it. The only problem is the whole point of an eShop is to try and, push interesting or related titles, or other people who liked this also liked this. And it really does not flow that way at all.
Yeah, and it's like let's say I was searching for Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
because I've tried that before. Just seeing, hey, maybe they put up Donkey Kong Land in the middle of the night, and we missed it. But they still haven't, by the way, not in North America.
No, but you keep checking every night. 2 a.m.
Yeah. So I check it. I type in Donkey Kong, and so you have to just wade through all this shit, like oh, here's a Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D like trailer or something. You know, it's like, I don't want this. Like, can't you segregate this from the games? Like, give me the options of Donkey Kong games and then other media. You know?
Yeah. And also they do a strange thing, like the eShop doesn't seem to have any code in there that looks at the games you already own or have already purchased.
Yeah,
and not advertise those to you. like I recently bought the DuckTales remake. It was on sale.
I hear good things about that. That's something that Jeff has plugged. He says they actually add quite a bit to it, and it's kind of our sense of humor as far as making sense out of the world presented in the original NES DuckTales.
Yeah, I never really played the original DuckTales game, but I love the cartoon to death, and for me, the most enjoyable thing in playing this game is just hearing the original voice actors. It's so cool that they got them all back, including the nonagenarian voice of Scrooge McDuck. Anyway, I purchased that, and every time I go to the eShop since then, they're still trying to tell me that DuckTales is on sale. It's like, yes, I know. I took advantage of that sale.
What drives me crazy is when I have a game in my system and it's trying to get me to download that game. Or
Yeah.
I have saved data of the game, and it's like, why would I need to download Super Smash Brothers when I have been playing it?
Yeah, it's just absurd. What would be cool is if it detects that you own the game, if it would let you download a backup copy in case you want to do that. But I guess for services like GameFly, it would be very easy to abuse that system. So I can see why they don't. Ooh, how about this? If you register a copy of the game on Club Nintendo, you also get a download copy for that game.
That one makes sense. Although, they should, I don't necessarily want to download the game, as a backup.
I would download Smash Brothers because same I said on the 3DS version. I recommend a download of it because it's never a game that I feel like playing enough to dig out and take out my Mario Kart disc or my Tropical Freeze disc. But if it was just sitting there on the OS, like, yeah, I'll put in 10 minutes here.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah. I just don't want to use up any of my memory.
Well, thankfully, the Wii U, and here's something to the Wii U's credit, it does have a very easily expandable storage space. You can buy a USB hard drive, plug it right in, and you can expand it as much as you want.
You can expand dong.
Yes.
So, getting back to the gamepad, I love the feel of it. Sometimes it becomes a bit cumbersome. It's a little big, but I like that. Usually Nintendo's problem is they make their controllers too small, if anything.
Right.
So, they make it for the tiny Japanese hands. That's not racist. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm. Off TV play is really cool.
Yeah. Although I don't really utilize that as much as I probably should or could. It's just not something I'm like. I'd rather play it on my big screen, when I can.
Right. I mean, I've never used it when someone else wants to use the TV, but I have used it to play the Wii U in another room.
Okay. Yeah. On the toilet,
on the toilet or in the bedroom or I've taken the gamepad around my apartment
during cunnilingus. Yeah, you look over and you're playing the gamepad.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
thank you for putting a mental image of me performing oral sex to my wife in the minds of the listeners, Hyle.
And that's what's happening when people challenge you to Mario Kart 8.
Exactly.
So why do you think Donkey Kong has that pained expression on his face?
Yes. You have to really grade my performance on a curve because I'm a little preoccupied.
On a power slide.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is my signature move.
Anyway, the gamepad, when it was first announced, I thought this was really cool because I thought there would be a lot more connectivity between the game and the gamepad, where rather than just off-screen play, you could the gamepad would represent another realm of the game itself. So, like, maybe your character could jump into the gamepad and you would have a whole new environment to explore, or they would be like represent the foreground or something. I thought there'd be, you could barrel blast between the gamepad and the TV and back again.
That was the one thing that I think really captured both of our imaginations, is the idea of doing a Donkey Kong 64 style barrel blasting maze with the gamepad.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. I thought there'd be a lot more creativity involved with it, and so far, no. It's just a gimmick that you can play it off screen, which is nice, but that's about it.
Yeah, and the only real application that I could see it improving a game would be something like Pokemon Snap, where you can use it as a window into the game world, and it makes sense within the context of the game. If they do it with the new Zelda, what I've been calling Hyrim, the
which sounds like another horrifying sex act.
Yes. High rim. Yeah, it's when you take PCP and give analingus.
Well, I don't know if it's HY rim, then that would be when I perform it exclusively.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Well, let's put the mental image of you performing analingus on your girlfriend Michelle in the minds of the listeners, and now we're even.
I hope she listens to this one.
Yeah, she doesn't listen. Hey, my wife doesn't either. Anyway, if they do like bow and arrow movement the same way that they did with the Ocarina of Time 3D port on the 3DS, which was frustrating because when you move the system around, you completely destroyed the stereoscopic 3D effect. It wouldn't be a problem with the gamepad. That's one potential use, but outside of that kind of thing, yeah, it's a gimmick. There are only a few real practical uses for it. And typically when Nintendo designs hardware, especially when Miyamoto designs hardware, there's like a core gameplay foundation, like an idea behind it. With the Wii U, it really just seems like it was like the horse built by committee, which is a camel. You know, it's just like a bunch of
I thought this was the conjoined horse again.
Yeah. The Wii U is the push me pull you of video game consoles. No, it's just like it's a bunch of completely disparate, gimmicky features that don't coalesce into a greater whole.
Agreed, and that would bug me, and I feel like there's a lot of potential just flushed away,
Yeah.
Which seems to be the case with most Nintendo consoles. You know, when the console's getting ready to come out and they're hyping it up, you know, they hype up all these grand things, and they never come to fruition.
Yeah.
I remember the Nintendo 64. I was so hyped about the 64 disc drive. I was, because I thought it was just going to add so many cool elements. Like,
yeah, Euro Zelda was the big thing, which became the Master Quest, and then it.
But just little things like I remember Nintendo Power was plugging that games would recognize holidays, stuff that we take for granted now, but games would be able to recognize holidays. So if it was Halloween, like let's say again, I'm just using Donkey Kong analogies because this is the Kongversation. Like if you're on Donkey Kong Island, there would be maybe Cranky would set out jack-o'-lantern or something,
right,
and if you could have day to night. Like if it was you're playing this at night, it would be nighttime on Donkey Kong Island. If you were playing it in the morning, the sun would be coming up.
That was one of my favorite features of the GameCube. By the way, which was really only used in Rogue Leader.
Was it Rogue Leader or Rogue Squadron?
The GameCube one was Rogue Leader. Rogue Squadron was the 64 one.
Yeah, it's funny, because that finally was possible with the GameCube, because we never got the 64 DD in the West.
Right.
But it was finally possible with the GameCube, and like one game did it.
And that was a launch title.
Yeah, and then like all this potential that's still inherent in these systems, and they never do anything with it. And I can understand it's not necessary, it's just cosmetic, but damn it, that's I thought, like, going into the next generation of games and the next generation, things would get grander and grander and grander. And in a sense, they have with the AAA, big-budget Hollywood titles on the other systems. But it feels like Nintendo just kind of retreated into its own shell.
And I think a big problem with that is that there probably are some really cool ways to utilize the gamepad functionality and even the Wii and the GameCube functionality, but Nintendo never seems to develop third-party they're very good about second-party because they're under the umbrella. Factor 5 and Rare are the huge examples that could always get the most out of the hardware, but when it comes to giving dev kits to third parties and now to indie developers, they don't seem to thoroughly explain the potential of the hardware. And if they did that, I think that they could allow others to make their seemingly gimmicky features resonate a lot better than they actually do.
Yeah, but that's a huge issue when it comes to Nintendo, and that's something that they've got to rectify with the next console, and that's bridging the gap between them and third-party developers. Mm-hmm. They've got to become competitive again.
Yep.
They've got to bring other people to the party. The
thing is, do they, though? That's the debate, because I think that over the last...
I would argue yes. I think that the disastrous launch of the Wii U, and the Wii U has kind of edged its way back. It's
no longer hemorrhaging money. Now it's a slight trickle of money out of Nintendo's pockets.
Right. It's voodoo economics.
Right.
It's
you're only as good as you are compared to your last quarter.
Yeah.
And they're doing better than their last quarter, but compared to where they were during the Wii, they're in the fucking toilet.
Yeah, I mean, Iwata now has less of a chance of being driven out with torches and pitchforks, but
right.
The possibility still remains. They could give him a good Frankensteining. They've got to. I think they've got to become the open again, expand the umbrella, like bring in third parties, make it so that they can have the possibility of those big budget titles that you see on the PS4 and the Xbone. It's they don't necessarily they don't have to have Call of Duty, but they need to have that option there. They need to say, oh yeah, if you get our system, you get the big games, plus you get the Nintendo franchises that you love.
See, that's the thing, though. I think that over the last few generations, just gaming consumers in general have kind of accepted the fact that you get Nintendo games, these high-quality exclusives on the cheaper Nintendo system, and then you pick either the Xbox or the PlayStation for, the remaining crop of AAA titles.
Yeah, but then people just don't buy the Nintendo system then.
And that's the trouble. That was not the case during the Wii generation, but they were able to make...
No, because the Wii generation, they got lucky. Let's be honest.
Oh,
they got extremely lucky.
We've said it before. This is not a controversial statement to me, at least. Yeah.
They hit upon an idea that somehow resonated. And I think it was one of their many gimmick ideas.
Quality of life.
Yeah, and it suddenly it hit at the right place, right time. They haven't done it before. They haven't done it since under the Iwata regime.
Right.
No.
Well, they tried to duplicate it on the Wii U. They put out the Wii Fit U, which didn't sell at all. They attempted to replicate it and realized, ooh, people are not biting. Let's focus on the games. We've always been about the games.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I think that this is beside the point of is the Wii U a quality system or not. I'm having a lot more fun with the Wii U than I ever had with the Wii.
I'll agree with that. I think that the fact that the Wii U is based around largely traditional controllers with some additional features that are optional for developers is one of its extreme strengths.
And yeah, look, I am inherently biased because I got my Donkey Kong Country game relatively soon than you usually get Donkey Kong games on these consoles. You know, we had to wait till 2010 for returns.
Yeah.
So it's not like... Yeah, I got mine. Yeah, basically. And so I can enjoy the system more than perpetually wondering, well, when are they going to get around to the Donkey Kong game?
Right.
But I think you look at Tropical Freeze is just the most stellar platformer in years.
Yes.
You've got the best Mario Kart in a decade.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, it has its flaws, but I think we can all agree it is the best Mario Kart in a decade. More than a decade.
More than a decade. Best
yeah.
for us for me and you respectively since Super Circuit or 64.
Right. So it's basically the beginning of hopefully the beginning of the rehabilitation of Mario Kart and not just a one-off fluke.
Right.
But
and the online actually works. That's
the big thing is the online I can actually enjoy these games with my friends.
No. You can enjoy that game with your friends. The online is still an abysmal clusterfuck in Super Smash Brothers, which we'll touch on next week.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But it works for Mario Kart.
There's I think once Zelda comes out, I am gonna pick up Zelda, Chad. Yes, I am.
Good.
I'm gonna yeah. I really don't have much interest in the ports and the the whatever, but
I'm not ashamed to say that I was able to secure the heavily over-purchased and scalped Majora's Mask limited edition, and I am super excited about it.
Now, I wasn't even aware there was a limited edition. That's how like off the radar I am when it comes to news.
It was basically so it premiered at time of recording 2 days ago for pre-order, and within like 20 minutes all the stock was bought up, and then it started appearing on eBay at like $200 a pop.
So you're saying scalpers just swooped in?
Oh yeah. It got really bad, and then people, out of desperation, because it comes with a Skull Kid figure wearing Majora's Mask. It's really cool. Out of desperation,
an amiibo or a figure?
A figure.
Like a Jack specific figure, or made by a different company, like a statue, or
it's like a statuette. It looks really high quality. It looks cool. But people started, getting desperate and purchasing these eBays and these eBay postings, and everything got horrible. Scalpers won the day, but thankfully more stock has appeared and then got bought out, and appeared and got bought out. But it seems like companies, all the retailers are putting up their pre-orders in batches, which I don't understand the logic behind that, but anyway, I got my hands on one, and I'm very happy for it, despite the fact that it's a port of a game that came out 15 years ago.
Well,
it's my favorite Zelda. It's my favorite Zelda.
Good for you. Good for you. But
you'll be getting the new one, huh?
Yeah. I want to experience a high def Zelda for 2015. So I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get Diddy Kong Racing Wii U.
Of course.
Kevin Callahan tested. Kevin Callahan approved.
Yeah.
So Kevin Callahan, by the way, we still haven't heard from you.
That's true. Everyone, if you haven't called the cops yet, in where does he live? Minnesota.
He lives with his wife and kids in Minnesota.
Yeah. Hey, you may want to put a call out there. Let's try and find Kevin. His parents left him home alone.
So
yes, thank you for that famous Kevin McAllister quote.
Actually, I was doing a Jeff Goldblum Jurassic Park.
Too much aftershave on my face.
You're actually starting to lapse into Christopher Walken there. Near the end there, kind of became Walken-esque.
On my face. I like how Jeff Goldblum will do the thing where he still sounds like he's in the middle of the sentence.
Explain.
Where it's the quote that comes into my mind is in The Lost World, when he's talking to John Hamm, and he goes, obviously you've kept these animals quarantined and contained.
Oh yeah, he never like fades out.
He ends on a high note when normally that's reserved for asking questions.
What a weirdo.
Yeah, I love Jeff Goldblum. He's my favorite. Jeff.
Yeah, so I mean, despite our criticisms, I'm enjoying the Wii U. I think Nintendo has much higher pedigree of games out for it already. Smash Brothers, I'll take Brawl over the current iteration, but ultimately, like I'm having more fun with it than I had with the Wii. And granted, I got the Wii pretty late, but I never felt like I had the library to fall back on then.
Yeah, same here. We spent a long time immediately prior to this kind of shitting on the Wii U, but honestly, that's shitting on Nintendo's handling of the Wii U.
I think the Wii U could have been so much more successful, but it was Nintendo being Nintendo. And, I say this with like disgruntled love. I'm not saying like, oh, I hate Nintendo. Or obviously I'm a Nintendo fanboy.
Right.
I am. But I am also not afraid to be critical of them when I feel like they're not living up to their potential, which, hey, guess what? That's been everything since the GameCube era.
Yeah.
Honestly, a little bit of the N64 era too. But
suffice to say, Hyle and I will never be the Leo McGarry to Nintendo and give them a heartfelt napkin that says "Let Nintendo be Nintendo." That's not going to happen.
No. Yeah, we'll give them. I don't know. We'll throw the napkin in their face, and then I'll uncrumple it, and it'll say, "Be better."
Yeah, and then we'll tell them the allegory of the company that fell in a hole.
Yeah,
because
Sega.
Yeah, so So our guy Nintendo, he's down in the hole. Sega walks by. Nintendo says, "Hey, Sega, can you help me out here? Can you get me out of the hole?" Sega jumps in. Nintendo says, "Are you crazy? Now you're stuck here too." Sega says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before. And you're making shitty Sonic games from here on out."
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.